The Sabura's alleys choke on the reek of sour wine, sweat-soaked wool and cheap incense burning to mask the rot. Torchlight sputters, casting jagged shadows on crumbling walls as a senator, cloaked to hide his rank, picks his way through the filth. The air is heavy, warm with the press of bodies. Then he sees her, painted lips, cheeks smeared with rouge, her eyes glinting with shameless defiance. Not some tavern wench, not a captive, the Empress of Rome herself, Valeria Messalina, sprawled among the lowest women of the city, her laughter sharp as a blade. She's not here by force, she's here to win, to outlast, to outshine, to degrade herself and rise above. You think Rome's decadence was mere gossip. Her hunger wasn't weakness, it was a weapon, one that would shame senators, break generals, and drag an empire into her nightmare. But why? Rome, 38 CE. The imperial palace gleams under a merciless sun, its marble columns towering over the city like silent gods. Within, 15-year-old Valeria Messalina, new bride to Emperor Claudius, plays the perfect empress, radiant, virtuous, a mother to his heirs. She presides over banquets, her smile as polished as the gold at her throat. But the palace is a cage, its rituals a slow suffocation. Whispers drift from the servants' quarters, tales of the empress slipping away under plain cloaks, her footsteps trailing toward the Sabura's pleasure dens. At first they're dismissed as scandalous lies, the kind that cling to power like damp rot. But the truth is worse. Messalina isn't fleeing her role, she's rewriting it. Her rebellion isn't just lust, it's a bid for control, a dark empire built on flesh and secrets. And Rome will tremble when it learns how far she'll go. The palace at dusk is a labyrinth of echoes, sandaled feet slapping polished stone, the clink of goblets, the murmur of courtiers plotting behind silk curtains. Valeria Messalina, barely 17 now, moves through it like a shadow cast by a flickering lamp. To the world she is the ideal empress, mother to Octavia and Britannicus, her beauty a testament to Rome's glory. But her eyes, sharp as obsidian, betray a restless hunger, the endless ceremonies, the weight of expectation, the old men droning about virtue. They bore her to the marrow. At night when Claudius retires to his scrolls, she feels the walls close in, the air thick with incense and restraint. Imagine standing there, the weight of an empire on your shoulders, knowing you could be more than a statue in a gilded cage. She begins small, a plain cloak, no jewels, no attendants. Slipping past the Praetorian Guard, she moves through Rome's underbelly, where the Sabura's alleys pulse with life the palace can't contain. The air here is alive, raw with the stench of urine, roasted meat and cheap perfume. Prostitutes call from doorways, their laughter coarse, their bodies worn but unbowed. Messalina watches, not with disgust but with fascination. These women, scorned by all, wield a power no senator can claim, freedom in their defiance. She lingers in the shadows, her heart pounding, not from fear, but from a spark of something darker, a need to know their world, to taste their rebellion. Saturnalia, 40 CE, the festival when Rome inverts itself, slaves mock masters, and the city drowns in wine and chaos. Messalina sees her chance. Under a false name, Luxiska, she crosses the threshold of a Sabura brothel. The room is a haze of oil lamps and sweat, the air thick with grunts and whispered promises. She sheds her cloak, her body bare but for paint and audacity. The women smirk, expecting the noble girl to falter. But Messalina doesn't flinch. She takes her place, her movements deliberate, her gaze daring any to challenge her. The night stretches on, clients blurring into a parade of greed and desperation. She matches the women, then surpasses them. Hours pass, dawn creeps through the shutters. The others collapse, spent, but Messalina continues, her body trembling, her will unbroken. 25 men, they whisper. A record. The brothel falls silent, not with awe, but with something closer to fear. This isn't lust, not merely. It's a queen proving she can descend lower than the lowest and emerge untarnished. Each moan, each coin tossed at her feet, is a rebellion against the marble perfection of her title. She feels it, the thrill of degradation, the power in choosing it. The women of the Sabura, hardened by years, see it too. This is no spoiled girl playing at scandal. Her hunger is something else, something that makes the air feel heavier, the torchlight dimmer. As she leaves, her cloak pulled tight, the city waking around her, she carries their whispers like a crown. The cracked marble of the palace awaits her return. But something has shifted. The empress has tasted a new kind of empire, one built not on gold but on shame and secrets. She returns to the palace, her face composed, her hands steady as she greets Claudius. But the Sabura lingers in her blood. The servants notice her absence. The guards exchange glances, but none dare speak. The city's gossip begins to churn, vague at first about a noblewoman seen in the pleasure district. Messalina hears it and smiles. Let them whisper, let them wonder, she's only begun. The Saturnalia was a test, a single night, but the hunger it woke in her is a living thing, coiling tighter with each passing day. She lies awake, the palace silent, the city's pulse calling her back. What could she do with more nights, with more power? The Sabura taught her she could outlast anyone. Now she wonders who else she can conquer. The cliffhanger comes as the festival fades. Messalina, standing alone in her chambers, stares at a cracked mirror, her reflection splintered. The Empress is gone, replaced by something sharper, hungrier. She whispers her false name, Lysiska, like a prayer. The Sabura is waiting. And so is Rome. The Sabura never sleeps. Its alleys hum with the clatter of carts, the slurred songs of drunks, the creak of brothel doors swinging open to the night. Messalina, now a shadow in a plain cloak, moves through this chaos with purpose. No longer content with testing herself, she craves conquest. The Saturnalia showed her she could outlast the hardest women of Rome. Now she wants to dominate them. Imagine standing in that fetid air, the torchlight flickering on her face, her eyes burning with a hunger that isn't just flesh but power. The whispers of her brothel triumph have spread, no longer vague gossip but a scandal that clings to the city like damp rot. She hears them and laughs, a low sharp sound that makes even the Sabura's boldest flinch. Her target is Scylla, Rome's most infamous courtesan, whose name is a byword for excess. Scylla's beauty is fading, her body worn by years, but her legend holds the city's elite in thrall. Senators, merchants, even priests speak of her in hushed tones, their coin piling at her feet. Messalina sees not a rival but a challenge, a chance to prove her dominion extends beyond the palace. She issues the contest through whispered channels, a night in the Sabura, a public spectacle, client against client, endurance against endurance. The stakes are obscene, the kind of wager that draws Rome's aristocrats like moths to a flame. They gather in a dimly lit tavern, their togas brushing the filth of the floor, betting gold and honor on who will break first. The night begins under a sky bruised with clouds, the air heavy with the threat of rain. The tavern is a cauldron of smoke and sweat, oil lamps casting shadows that twist like specters. Scylla, draped in gaudy silks, smirks at Messalina, expecting the Empress to crumble under scrutiny. But Messalina, as Lysiska, sheds her cloak with a grace that silences the room. Her body is a weapon, her movements deliberate, each gesture a defiance of the marble perfection she's left behind. The clients come, soldiers, traitors, men with eyes like wolves, and the crowd watches, their breaths held, their bets climbing. Scylla matches her at first, her experience a steady flame. But Messalina is relentless, her will a blade honed by boredom and ambition. Hours grind on. The lamps burn low, their smoke curling like ghosts. A micro hook, halfway through the night, a senator recognizes her. His goblet slips, wine pooling like blood on the floor. He says nothing, but his eyes lock with hers, and in that moment she knows he's hers, not just for the night, but for whatever she demands later. The crowd doesn't notice, too drunk on spectacle, but the air shifts, heavier now, charged with something beyond flesh. Messalina's laughter cuts through the din, not joyous but victorious. Scylla falters, her breath ragged, her silks clinging to her sweat-drenched skin. Dawn breaks, gray and unforgiving. Scylla collapses, her legend shattered. Messalina stands, unbroken, her body trembling but her gaze steady. 40 men, the whispers say. A number no one can believe, yet none can deny. The tavern falls silent, not with cheers but with a horrified awe. The aristocrats who bet against her shift uneasily, their gold now hers, their secrets exposed in their stares. This isn't lust, you realize, watching her adjust her cloak as if stepping off a throne. It's power, raw, undeniable, forged in the crucible of degradation. She's not just outlasted Scylla, she's claimed her crown, not of gold but of whispers and fear. The Sabura's women bow their heads, not in respect but in submission. Messalina feels it, the weight of their surrender, and it fuels her. The palace, with its cracked marble and stifling rituals, feels smaller now, a cage she's outgrown. She's tasted what it means to rule, not as an empress but as something darker. But the victory is a spark, not a fire. She needs more, not just bodies but minds, influence, control. The men who watched her tonight, their faces flushed with wine and shame, are not mere spectators. They're senators, generals, men who move Rome's levers. She sees it now. Her nights in the Sabura are not rebellion but strategy. Each client, Each wager is a thread in a web she's weaving. The city is hers to ensnare, one secret at a time. As she leaves the tavern, the first raindrops fall, washing the rouge from her cheeks but not the hunger from her eyes. The cliffhanger, Messalina pauses in the alley, the city waking around her. A senator, the one who recognized her, lingers nearby, his face pale, his hands trembling. She meets his gaze, and her smile is a promise of ruin, of power, of something Rome has never seen. The Suburra was her proving ground. Now her eyes turn to the Senate. The Suburra taught Messalina how to conquer flesh. Now she seeks to master minds. By 41 CE, Rome buzzes with her legend. Whispers of Lysiska, the phantom who shamed Sylla, drift from taverns to the Senate's marble halls. But Messalina is done with filthy alleys. She craves a grander stage, one where power, not just pleasure, bends to her will. Imagine standing in a villa on the Esquiline Hill, its frescoes glowing under torchlight, its air thick with myrrh and wine. To the city, it's a noble's retreat, a place of feasts and philosophy. To those who know, it's her creation, a brothel disguised as elegance, where Rome's elite are ensnared not by chains but by their own desires. The cracked marble of the palace is far away. Here Messalina builds an empire of secrets. The villa's gates open only to the invited senators, generals, merchants with gold to burn. Inside, the floors gleam with mosaics, the walls draped in silk that hides the stains of excess. Messalina, no longer Lysiska, moves among them, her presence a velvet blade. She's not just a participant now, she's the architect. She recruits aristocratic women, wives and daughters of Rome's proudest families, not with coin but with coercion. A whispered scandal, a forged letter, a servant's testimony bought with fear. These women, their faces pale with shame, join her, their virtue traded for survival. The villa becomes a theater of vice, each room a stage where power is bartered in gasps and whispers. Every encounter is watched, every weakness recorded in ledgers hidden behind false walls. A micro-hook. One night, a senator flushed with wine confesses a plot against Claudius while tangled in silk sheets. The woman beside him, a patrician's wife turned spy, smiles and notes his words. By dawn, Messalina holds his treason in her hands, a weapon sharper than any dagger. The villa's true purpose crystallizes, not just a brothel, but a web of intelligence. Senators who mocked her in the forum now bow in her presence, their secrets logged in her ledgers. Generals who once sneered at Claudius beg for her silence. Merchants pay in gold and loyalty. The villa's air grows heavier, the myrrh now laced with the sour tang of fear. Messalina thrives in it, her laughter soft but unyielding, like a flame that consumes without flickering. Her power extends beyond the villa. She orchestrates religious festivals across Rome, public spectacles that mask private depravity. Temples to Venus and Bacchus become arenas of orchestrated chaos, where rivals are lured into compromising acts before jeering crowds. Imagine the scene, a senator, drunk on sacred wine, stripped of dignity as his peers laugh, their own secrets keeping them silent. Messalina watches from the shadows, her eyes glinting like polished obsidian. These are not mere orgies, they are her court, where she is both judge and executioner. A micro-hook. During one festival, a rival noblewoman hesitates, refusing to join the revelry. By morning, a forged confession circulates, branding her a traitor. The crowd turns on her, and Messalina's smile widens. Rome is learning. Defiance is a luxury no one can afford. The villa's ledgers grow thick, each page a map of Rome's underbelly. Names, dates, desires, betrayals, all catalogued with a precision that would shame the imperial scribes. Messalina's network is a living thing, its tendrils reaching into every corner of power. She no longer needs the Suburra's filth, she's brought its lessons to the heart of Rome. Yet the hunger that drove her to outlast Sylla gnaws deeper. Power is her wine, but it never quenches. She begins to see Claudius, limping, stammering Claudius, not as her husband but as another pawn. His trust in her, his blindness to the whispers makes him vulnerable. She tests him, dropping hints of her nights, watching his face for cracks. He smiles, oblivious, and she knows, even the emperor is hers to manipulate. The cliffhanger. Messalina stands in the villa's garden, the night air cool against her skin. The city sprawls below, its torches flickering like stars fallen to earth. Her ledgers are full, her spies loyal, her enemies cowed. She's no longer the empress playing at rebellion. She's a queen of shadows, her power absolute. Claudius returns from a campaign tomorrow, expecting his dutiful wife. But as she traces the edge of a cracked marble statue, her thoughts are not of loyalty. She believes she's untouchable, that even the emperor kneels to her will. The villa hums behind her, its secrets safe. But in Rome, secrets have a way of breaking free. Messalina's villa, once a whispered secret, now hums with the arrogance of a second palace. By 48 CE, her empire of shame holds Rome in a chokehold, senators, generals, even priests ensnared in her ledgers. She moves through the city like a specter, her power woven into every whispered scandal, every trembling confession. But power, like wine, dulls the senses. Claudius is away, inspecting legions in Ostia, and Messalina sees not risk but opportunity. Imagine standing in her garden, the air thick with jasmine and ambition, as she dreams of a Rome where she is not empress but goddess. Her hunger, once a spark in the Suburra, now burns for something unthinkable, a public declaration that she, not Claudius, rules. The cracked marble of the palace feels like a relic of a world she's outgrown. She chooses Senator Gaius Silius, young and ambitious, his loyalty bought with her body and her secrets. Their affair is no secret. Her villa's walls have heard his promises, her ledgers hold his debts. But Messalina wants more than whispers. She proposes a wedding, a public ceremony, not in the shadows but under Rome's blazing sun. Silius, dazzled by her power, agrees, believing her untouchable. The city gasps as invitations spread, not to a clandestine rite but to a spectacle in the forum. Messalina, draped in bridal silks, her eyes glittering like polished obsidian, stands before a crowd of aristocrats, their faces a mask of shock and morbid curiosity. The priest's voice trembles as he binds them, the air heavy with incense and disbelief. Rome watches its empress marry another, Claudius's name unspoken but crushing. A microhook, a loyalist to Claudius, hidden in the crowd, slips away, his sandals slapping the stones as he races to Ostia. Messalina doesn't notice, her laughter ringing like a bell cracked but defiant. The ceremony is a triumph, a middle finger to the empire's order. Senators who once knelt in her villa now shift uneasily, their bets on her power wavering. Silius, at her side, believes he's her equal, but her gaze betrays no partnership, only possession. The wedding feast spills into the night, wine and excess drowning out the city's growing unease. Messalina dances, her movements a taunt as if daring Rome to challenge her. But the air grows colder, the torchlight dimmer, and the whispers turn sharp. Her empire of secrets is no longer hers alone. Claudius returns, summoned by the loyalists' breathless report. The news strikes like a blade. His wife, his empress, married to another in full view of Rome. The palace, once her cage, becomes her judge. Messalina's spies falter, their loyalty crumbling as Praetorian guards sweep through the city. Her villa is raided, its ledgers seized, its mosaics defaced. The women she coerced turn on her, their confessions spilling like blood. Silius, arrested, faces Claudius's trembling rage. Messalina flees to a garden on the Pincian hill, her silks torn, her face streaked with rouge and defiance. Imagine her there, the city's pulse fading, her breath ragged as she whispers to herself, Lysiska, the name that once crowned her. She begs for an audience with Claudius, her voice a mix of seduction and desperation, but the emperor, wounded and wrathful, refuses. A microhook, a freedman, Narcissus, presents Claudius with her ledgers, pages thick with names of Rome's elite. The emperor's face hardens, mercy is no longer an option. The guards find her at dawn, her hands clutching a cracked marble fountain, its water stained with her tears. She pleads, then curses, her defiance crumbling into disbelief as the sword falls. Her body slumps, the Suburra's stench replaced by the metallic tang of blood. Rome moves swiftly to erase her. Damnatio memoria. Her name is chiseled from monuments, her statues shattered, her legacy branded with shame. The villa stands empty, its silks rotting, its secrets buried with her. The Senate breathes easier, but their hands still tremble, knowing how close she came. The cliffhanger, as the chisels scrape her name from the stone, a servant in the Suburra whispers to a crowd, her voice low but alive. Messalina is gone, her empire in ruins, her body cold. But her story, born in the filth of Rome's underbelly, refuses to die. The city's torchlight flickers, as if guarding a truth too dark to silence. Her name is erased, but in the shadows of the alleys, they still speak of the empress who worked until dawn and refused to stop. Rome's marble walls gleam under a pitiless sun, their cracks smoothed over as if no empress ever defied them. Valeria Messalina is gone, her name erased, her statues reduced to rubble, her villa a hollow shell where silk rots and mosaics fade. The Senate breathes freely, their secrets buried with her, or so they believe. But the Suburra never forgets. Its alleys still reek of sour wine and incense, its torchlight flickering like a pulse that refuses to die. Imagine standing there, the air thick with whispers, as a voice recounts the night an empress outlasted the dawn. Messalina's empire of shame crumbled, undone by the same hunger that built it, a lust for control that burned brighter than reason. Her downfall was no triumph of virtue, it was Rome devouring its own. The senators who cheered her death still glance over their shoulders, haunted by the ledgers they'll never find. Her story, stripped from stone, lives in the city's shadows, a warning of what power mixed with perversion can do. They say she worked until the light broke, refusing to stop, but what drives a woman to trade a throne for such depths? In the Sabura's filth they still ask, and no one answers.